All right, guys, welcome back to episode, whatever it says in the title, because we don't know. Again,
some number.
We're sitting down, we're recording, and then we're kind of putting them out there later as we figure things out. Today's a little different than some of the other videos we've done. Some videos we know are going to be like, chapter library, here's some good information. Some are going to be a conversation. Now, the one we're about to have is definitely a conversation of things we've experienced and things that we try to work towards as instructors and individuals as well. And the big topic today is fear. Now, this has a lot of terminology these days: fear, anxiety, social anxiety. What does this look like? How does this represent to you? But, I'll let you start off with this one.
All right, so basically, I'm the type of person that if I'm afraid of something, I'm going to try to hit it head on.
True.
Kind of a short story. I'm terrified of alligators, actually. In
New England.
Yeah, listen. But I went to Florida with my aunt and a couple of her friends, and there was this whole exhibit there about alligators, and you could pet them, and I was like, even if it's 2 feet, it's still a terrifying mouth of teeth. So these things are legit dinosaurs.
They are.
And they can grow up to
and they will
30
rip things
feet.
off you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then shake
30
you.
feet? I've never seen a 30-foot alligator.
Listen, they're probably out there.
Is that the jaws of alligators?
Lake Placid. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just kidding. So again, one of my fears is, of course, alligators, and it helps that they were tiny little, they were this
little
big.
babies.
But at the end of the tour, right, you could kiss an alligator. And I was like, okay, I have to actually do this. I have to actually force myself to kiss an alligator. Now, it's mouthless tape, so it's not a legitimate, so mouth was taped shut, but they bring it in nice and close, and you're freaking out for a second because you're what if that tape can't hold, or what if it's smart enough that it'll take it had electric tape, one strip of electric tape, it'll take its
prisoner
claw,
alligator.
it'll take its claw and slice and then eat my face, all of these things are rushing through my head anyways, but I did end up kissing it. So and the thing, its eyes were on the outside, chilling. And then the second it gets close, it just their eyes just their eyes were I will absolutely rip your face off if this tape was not in my mouth, you silly human. Why are you doing this to yourself?
So I think the first reminder is fear is not rational.
Not necessarily rational. But then in addition to this alligator, also in this place was a giant 35-foot, I swear to God this thing was huge, but one of those snakes that wraps around you and strangles you.
Anaconda or boa.
Yeah, so I then had to touch the snake because of course I'm afraid of snakes, and I'm petting it, and the kid's isn't it really smooth and so soft, she's really sweet. I'm
she's really sweet.
What? This thing cannot be sweet. It's a wild animal. But anyway, so that's my story about fear and how sometimes we make it out to be sometimes a little bit worse, than it is. But specifically for women, sometimes fear can come in different ways, things such as just being rude to somebody,
which is a really useful self-defense skill.
It is, and it's my favorite thing to do in the name of self-defense. Whoa, you're so rude. Well, I'm protecting myself, really.
Might just be an excuse, but okay.
You don't need me to have an excuse to be rude to somebody. But no, seriously, at different bars or nightclubs, I'm very rude to people. I also have this new game where I just like to, screw with people and tell them so many lies. It's unbelievable. It's actually very fun. But anyways,
this is a conversation about code switching. This is where I have to write a note, but the next podcast is now code switching.
I digress. But also, we also have a fear of what people think of us, and I can't speak for men on this point of view, but
all humans, yeah.
But you do worry about what people think of you, and especially if you're not in a place of life where you're actually confident and actually don't care what people think of you, and I think I've finally hit that.
Did you see the meme going around in this one? In your teens and 20s, you're desperately afraid of what other people think about you. In your 30s and 40s, you decide that you're no longer going to be worried about what other people think of you. And then in your like 50s and 60s, you learn that they were never thinking about you in the first place.
Yeah, like
Most
they
people are
don't
so
really
wrapped up in
care,
their own
yeah.
head. Yeah.
And that kind of like that being rude, but also, you know, being able to kind of like mess with people, is kind of part of that. Like, I don't really care what others think of me. I don't care, you know, what, you know, if they find out I wasn't actually being truthful, like, I don't care.
Right.
You know, I have this joke, I have a Cornell sweatshirt, and somebody one night was like, oh, like, did you go to Cornell? And they were obviously like hitting on me, trying to like, you know, get more information out of me. And I was like, no, one of my kids goes to Cornell. And he like looked at me with like,
You don't particularly look old enough to have a college age
and he goes,
individual.
and that's basically what he said. He goes, you know, you don't look old enough to have, and I literally looked at him, I was like, I'm 47. And I walked away. I was like, I do not care. I do not want to give him this whole lowdown of like, I work at a martial arts school and one of my, you know, brilliant students is going to Cornell and I wear this sweatshirt. Like, I buy one for all of my seniors, and I don't need to give him my dissertation on college sweatshirts.
Right.
And it was just more of like, I don't want to talk to you. I want nothing to do with you, so I'm gonna just tell you some obscure things. Maybe it's a funny story, like, oh, I met this 47-year-old that looked 30.
I love that you've given one of the things we talk about this, guys, is permission, right? You give yourself permission to. It's a permissiveness in self-defense is a big topic. Maybe arguably the first thing with self-defense is giving yourself permission to whatever the thing is. And I love that, you know, I've known you for a long time now. It's kind of cool to watch your progression, that you give yourself permission
Yeah.
to play with people in this regard. Because I don't think 20-year-old Allison would have done that. And it's kind of nice to see you progress in that way. We talk about fear in our classes as really ultimately being potentially two things for us in terms of like functional. It's either a barrier to our next step, and we'll talk about like fear creating a freeze. So if you get surprised by something, one of your first instincts is to freeze, and then fight or flight, you know, kind of kicks in after that. But freeze is the first thing. And we've all overthought things because we're afraid of whatever. I might fail, I might succeed, other people might have certain thoughts about it. And so overthinking is a version of this one. And the other option is, and you know, you kind of just said it, fear can be a booster. I can use it as motivation. I can use it as energy to increase my forward momentum and my forward ambulation. I'm afraid of kissing this alligator, so I'm just gonna get it done.
Just gonna do it, yeah.
For myself, I made a decision many years ago that like I was not going to let fear be that thing that's held me back from things I wanted to do. And like I didn't kiss an alligator. I haven't had that opportunity. I'm not sure I would have the same anxiety about it. I'm not sure I am, but okay.
Kissing a frog.
I do know that he's like chicken, but either way.
Ew.
I was recently invited to go to, of all things, a dance fitness class. Now, if this is your way of working out, all the power to you. Yeah, I'm a big gorilla, and dancing is not a thing that I've put any reps into whatsoever in my life, other than the white guy shuffle, right? That's all I got.
Aikido's dancing.
Aikido is actually, there's a whole salsa story about that. I got dragged to a salsa lesson once, and the salsa footwork matched up with the Aikido footwork just enough, like 50% crossover. I couldn't do the salsa stuff, so my partner, I just kept throwing them around in like Aikido stuff, and the instructor was very annoyed with me, but whatever. So a couple weeks ago, I was invited to this dance fitness class down in New York City. That is not a thing that I think 10 years ago I would have done. And it was fun in that like I looked like a moron. It was an advanced dance fitness class, so the instructor would do a single cue, do the thing, and then everybody was expected to know what to do. And of course, because they clearly go to this class all the time, they all knew exactly what to do, and then there's this big goofy guy in the corner just kind of smiling, laughing, having fun, doing twirls and circles. And you know, social anxiety is a thing for all of us, right? I don't know that 10 years ago I would have done that, and I would have missed out on the story and the opportunity to look like an idiot in the corner with all these really awesome women who are just busting it out, and you know, I did not know how to do any of that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
No, definitely. And that fear of social anxiety of, you know, like, they're gonna look at me and they're gonna, you know, like either laugh or they're gonna think something different, but at a certain point it's like, I don't actually care. I'm probably never gonna see any of these people again. And you know what? I'm doing this to have fun. I'm doing this to break out of my shell a little bit. I'm typically more of a reserved, shy person, so sometimes I'll do things that will kind of just push kind of past a little bit of that boundary and give myself permission to maybe be a little bit more goofy or be a little bit more, you know, social, right? I mean, social activities do wear me out, so like I can only do it for so long, but it is one of those things where finding things that we're fearful of and doing them. And I'm not talking about like specifically like, yes, I'm terrified to jump out of an airplane, but I'm not gonna go do that because like
you're willing to set your boundaries, that's okay.
Like just because I am not gonna jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Not that interested in it.
Right. And it depends on like, you know.
Can I have a question about that?
Yeah.
If a whole bunch of your friends were doing it for like their birthday or whatever, do you think you'd be like, well, I'm afraid of it, so they're all gonna go?
Oh yeah, like if it was like, you know, somebody's 30th birthday, all 7 of us, actually I don't even have 7 friends, so it'd be all 2 of us are gonna go jump out of an airplane. I'm just kidding. I have more than 2 friends.
2.2 friends.
Just because she's short doesn't mean she's
oh,
the
she's
eighth of a
0.2?
person. Anyways. So, but no, if it's like we got a group of 10 people to go do this, then it's all right, I'll go because I'm, you know, terrified and it's also like a social gathering or whatever.
Yep.
I don't think any of my 2.2 friends are going to be doing this for their 30th birthday because all of them are pretty much over 30, so that's the good news.
Not all of them. Your 0.2 friend's not over 30.
My 0.2 friend is not over 30, but I think she has more of like a Nashville type, not jumping
30th
out of
birthday?
airplanes.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
But
Guys, a question.
But yes.
Okay, sorry. You've worked really hard and you're now able to put real life reps into being rude.
Yes.
You teach warrior women.
I do.
We do some of the verbal de-escalation training in our jiu-jitsu class. It's by far not the most popular thing that we do because people want to sweat and punch people in the face and throw people around and choke them. And when we do the talkie stuff, it definitely doesn't feel good, and you're going to talk about this more in a second. But it also is like, it's not the most fun thing in the world per se, as vitally important as it is. But verbal de-escalation training it's hugely fear-inducing because that social anxiety stuff, so.
Yeah, and we also actually did an exercise, which I thought was a very powerful exercise. We actually did this with Randy King. You were paired off with a couple of people, and some people you actually didn't know, and you had to start saying words to try to get them to basically react to your words. And have that like emotional reaction. So some people are offended by certain words, and if you say them, then they emotionally get like amped up, and then that again causes problems, that again causes things in yourself. So just kind of like having a little bit of like a thicker skin as far as like if somebody uses the C word or somebody uses the B word and it's like a very offensive, yes, if somebody calls you bald and you're offended by that.
Short story, a couple of years back, I made a bald joke on the mat. Look at my head, guys. It's been like this for a while. I made a bald joke and one of the 12-year-olds tried to reprimand me. Sensei, you can't say that. What?
I am bald.
Why? It's physically a fact. Look at my head. He goes, well, that might be offensive. I'm like, to who? I'm the only one in the room that could possibly offend.
You're all 12. You all have hair.
Yes, I have no idea on the planet why you could possibly get offended, although people do, about things that are clearly empirically accurate. But
people do.
Oh, yeah.
But it is one of those things where like, I thought it was a powerful lesson because you kind of find words that are, I'm going to use the word triggering to you, and words that you might not, you know.
That's a whole conversation too.
And it is a whole conversation, but it's that me also like working with somebody and now having to say those words, like I was petrified. I was like, you know, I have to now start yelling words at you with profanities. I mean, for me, it's actually a very fun exercise, but if somebody like I didn't know, and it's like, I don't know how they're going to react if I yell out, you know, if I'm like, yo, you bald, ugly, you know, freak, like he could, well, oh, I'm sorry. But I don't know how they're gonna react, and it's about kind of just having that like tougher skin as far as like not getting emotional if somebody says that, and it's just more of like that like, okay, like, thanks, but.
So one of the things we talk about is your triggers are your weaknesses, and it's kind of your job to work on these things. Other people will prey on your weaknesses, whether it's good or bad. Obviously, we think that's bad. But be aware of your weaknesses and work towards mitigating them. Things like these exercises, we've done these in our jiu-jitsu adult classes as well. Naughty, pejorative, icky words come out on purpose with training intent to see, like, the C word. I've literally, like, really never used that word. I was playing a video game where somebody in my video game community was from England and used that word like it was a contraction, like the word the, right? He used that word so frequently it became his tagline nickname in the game's community, right? And it started becoming part of my lexicon. Like I was like, I had to stop myself.
Yeah, and in America that word
can be very, people tend to have a reaction to that word. So, but it desensitized me, good or bad, that's not the conversation. It desensitized me. So if certain words trigger you, and dial up that adrenaline spike and create like a fear-inducing moment. This is something to work on, guys.
It is a fear-inducing moment, and it is one of those things where, like, that fear or that like they're coming at me, they're saying words I don't like or that I think are triggering, and then it becomes like an anxiety thing, or it becomes I can't now defend myself because I'm so hurt from just words. Like that needs to be a that needs to be a mindset shift in, people are gonna say words because they're actually just trying to actually mess with your head.
Are kids still taught the old axiom of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? I don't know that I've heard a kid say that.
I've heard like words cut like knives. But no, I have not. Or like, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever bounces up to whatever you
Honestly,
think
I wonder if that
sticks to you.
I wonder if that basic stuff is still taught. You guys with young kids, I'm going to ask our students now in the coming weeks, like, have you guys ever heard these expressions?
That's my favorite one. My brother would call me words all the time, and I'd be like, I'm rubber, you're glue.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, and then it was like, rebound, blah,
now
blah,
you're a poopy head. Like,
right, and I think maybe that's not taught anymore because kids are really sensitive about words these days on a level that, yes, can words matter? Of course words matter. Do words matter as much as actions? Fuck no. I know we're not supposed to swear in this, but I can't even begin to tell you that if you think words matter more than getting punched in the face, you need to go somewhere where you get punched in the face. I'm sorry, words are not violence. I don't care who or what you possibly think. This is one of my high horses. Until you deal with the fact that you might get punched in the face for your words are not violence. They're just not, guys. They're just not, period, full stop. They are not. Okay. And
we had a girl the other day. She was in high school, and it's a very valid question for somebody in high school. She asked about catcalling. As far as like, what if somebody's catcalling me? And it was a fear. It was like I don't like when they do this. And it's like, 50% of us like it, 50% of us don't.
Stop right there. Hold on. That's the important. We're gonna come back to that. Go, keep going. Sorry.
Anyways, and I'm like, the simplest thing is to just ignore them, walk away. And if they start to follow you, if they start to do more behavior than just like, hey cutie, or like they beep the horn at you, like, believe me, it's annoying when you're on a walk and you just get beeped at every 15 seconds. Like, yes, it's annoying, and should that behavior be tolerated? No, but I can't.
I wouldn't know.
I can't do anything, people whistle, like you walk past Natick Center and there's all the construction guys, and one of my like little gorgeous blondes, she was like, they're looking at me, and I'm like, Annika, you're gorgeous. Like, they're going to look at you, they're gonna stare at you, and like, it's just about just keep walking. Like they're not looking at me, so like, I'm totally fine, but like they're gonna look at you, they're gonna make you feel uncomfortable. Some of them might even say, like, one of them smiled and was like, hey, and it's like, you can be nice, you can be like, hey, how's it going, and like keep walking, or you can just ignore them. Yeah, exactly. And it's that fear base of like, well, I don't want to be rude to them, but I also don't want, that social anxiety of like, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, like, so it becomes that fear of like, somebody whistles at me and now I'm like, I don't know what to do.
So we're gonna get back to fear real quick, but I want to, again, this is a conversation. You said something that I did not know until semi-recently, and that, you know, there's a joke about you get to a certain point in your life and the other day means yesterday or 15 years ago, so the other day. I've heard this conversation. I've always thought of catcalling as like creepy, weird, don't do it, it's disgusting, blah, blah, blah. And that's always been my thinking on it, okay? I've never catcalled anybody.
Yeah.
What's up?
I think it is.
However, you said a 50-50 thing.
Yeah, I think about 50% of women from my research actually like to be catcalled. Not necessarily, they might not like.
But they take the compliment.
It
Is
takes
what
a
I was.
compliment,
What I have been.
yeah.
I was told this by some women, and some women were expressing like, almost like getting ID'd. Like you're like, I got ID'd today.
Well,
when I
that's
bought alcohol.
awesome. Okay.
Right? Well,
That's fine.
But in a similar vein, I heard some women that were over 29. That's our rule. If you're whatever the age is, if you're over 29, you're now
Yeah.
always over 29. Who were like, oh, I don't get catcalled like I used to, and they were expressing sadness about this. I was like, wait, that's a thing? I had no idea.
But I don't know if it's like a specific cultural thing.
And we're not telling you to go out there and enjoy it. I'm just saying, like,
Do
I had
whatever you
never heard
want.
people
If
express
you like
this.
it, fine. It's not, you know, then great. I'm happy for you.
Some people were taking it as a compliment. I was like, and I've gently asked people about this, and it's very close to 50-50. Now, if you're really offended by this, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just telling you what I've been told.
Yeah.
We've done no heavy-duty data on it, no heavy-duty research. This is
No.
just experiential. I've had like, and again, my age group is aging, right? They're women in their 30s and 40s and 50s. And some of them have just hit that point where they're like, yeah, it's a compliment, like in a way, like it's maybe you don't want it, especially when you're younger and your confidence is an issue.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you should like get over it. Guys, don't catcall. Period. Full stop. Okay. But I was surprised by this fact.
Yeah. I think it is. It kind of is both, where it's like it's a motivating like a booster as far as like.
Ego boost, yeah.
I don't necessarily like that they're doing this, but like, you know. I don't know. I'm not that type of person. I just ignore whatever goes in one ear goes right out the other.
Our audience is like 80% male, but for the two women out there listening, like, what would be your feedback on this
Yeah.
one? Guys, shut up. You don't get an opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to be catcalled, men, we can certainly.
I would love to be catcalled, Allison. The only way I have very short, because we're running out of time, but a very short version of this is, I have big fluffy dogs. They're Alaskan Malamutes.
Yes.
Okay, they are amazing looking. They get
People
so much.
catcall them all the time.
Honestly, not only they get catcalled, I've had people stop their car in traffic, open their passenger window, and be like, "Oh my God, that dog's amazing!" And I'm like, "Is this what it's like to be a pretty girl?"
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so weird. I've never had this experience before.
And I'm over here like, you should be like, oh, thank you. I was feeling like I was
Just fix my beard a little bit.
Thank you. I thought I was going a little gray.
Getting back on fear.
So.
You want to talk about the gift of fear?
Yeah. So the gift of fear we talk about a lot in.
This is a book.
Yes, it is a book.
Read it.
Yes, read it. Or listen to it on like Audible.
Totally fine. I'm totally okay with that.
The Gift of Fear is a book, but it's also just kind of like, it's basically, if you haven't read it, it's about how our instincts can typically lead us in the right direction. And I won't do any spoilers, but there's a couple of stories in there from actual people that listened to their instincts or didn't listen to their instincts and bad things happened. So definitely read the book, but it is one of those things in the Warrior Women class or in all self-defense classes we talk about that spidey sense or that instincts, like you know when somebody is like wanting to talk to you. Like think about when you go to the mall and you have those people that are outside with those like things and you know they're like looking right at you. And I'm already
Don't make eye contact.
contemplating, I'm already contemplating like what the hell I'm gonna say to these
Don't
people.
spray me
like,
with your perfume.
So, and like you know it, and you know like if somebody's following you, you can kind of like feel it. So just listening to those instincts is definitely something that fear can actually help us with, and listening to that gut feeling is like the number one thing that I can explain to women as far as like, you might be wrong, like your gut feeling you might have like an off gut feeling and you listen to it and you might be wrong, but I'd much rather have you be wrong and kind of just have like a funny story, or like, you know, that person goes home with a funny story as opposed to what ultimately could have happened.
Yeah, this is the conversation about like avoidance is the highest order of win, but doesn't feel good because you never know, right? Well, I don't know if I actually avoided something or if I just, was being a paranoid. Win, nothing happened. Sometimes the absence of a thing happening is the win. Take the win, guys. It's you know, I know it's not easy.
Yep.
But
And it, you know, it also, it all depends on like situations, right? Like this like cute little old man rolled up the other day at Stop and Shop, and he like rolled down his window and he was like, "Can you help me?" And I was like, of course I'm gonna help you. Like, you look so sweet. But if it was,
you're not the every woman.
Right, but if it was, you know, maybe a different type of situation, or maybe a different car or a different person, or then maybe I would have more reservations as far as
white
like
van with a dude inside with glasses.
yeah. Like any type of van, really. I'm still scarred from when I was a kid.
Minivans?
No, not minivans, like those like white contractor vans.
Oh,
My dad had.
yeah.
Creepy.
That's fair.
He also had this alarm on it that like it was like a kid screaming.
Who?
My dad.
Oh!
Because I was petrified. I was
What?
petrified
Why do you have a kid screaming alarm? What do you mean?
Well, so like I like to think it was because of me, but he was probably doing it because he's like funny like that. I was petrified to stay in the car by myself, like when he would like run into like the gas station to pay for gas or something like that. Like 13 seconds, I was afraid to be in the car. So he would put the alarm on. And it was basically like this kid screaming, "Help! I'm being kidnapped!" It was actually
Really?
like, wicked funny. I'll have to see if he remembers this situation. But he used to
I've never
have
heard of that. That's kind of maybe a
contractor
useful
van.
tool. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't even know if they make them anymore. It's probably
Is that like steering into the curve of what a white contractor van is seen to be?
maybe. I don't know.
Fascinating.
I don't know. But
Fear is motivation.
fear is definitely motivation. So things
Our
like
booster.
so things like in my family there's histories of diabetes, heart attacks, heart disease. So just kind of staying on like cardio for healthy hearts, or you know, just kind of making sure that
Good.
you know, you go to the doctor and check out hearts or health issues or any family history as far as like breast cancer. Like if you have that gene in
Yep.
your family, like can you take steps to help yourself? Or maybe that's the motivation, right? Like
Before I opened the academy up, guys, after I could no longer work in a financial office world because I wanted to murder people, in between I decided to learn fitness, and I was a full-time trainer, and I learned that there was a certain category of human, mostly men in their late 30s, early 40s, even sometimes 50s, they would come to look for a trainer, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, what heart scare did you get? And they were always like, how did you know that? I'm like, because I know, because this is a thing. We call those restorative clients. We have preventative clients. In the fitness world is like, I want to look good clients. I want my booty to look good in the club or whatever. I was told that once. Specifically exactly that. We did a lot of squats. There's the preventative clients, so like my family has a lot of, and I would like to avoid, this is me, my family has a lot of heart disease as well. And then there's the restorative clients. I had a scare, maybe a heart attack, maybe, you know, a heart, a bunch of things you can have with your heart, or cancer scare, and I want to get into better shape, I want to get into better health. Very motivational, really, really a huge booster to your efforts.
Yep, but it also could be things like I'm afraid of getting attacked.
Yep.
I'm afraid of getting attacked again. I'm afraid of putting myself in that situation, so I want to learn how to do that kind of stuff. One of the reasons I started jiu-jitsu, I was afraid to stay home alone, and I was friggin' 20 years old. And that was kind of one of those turning points for me where it was like, if I learn some self-defense skills, you know, maybe I'll have a little bit more confidence to kind of stay by myself. And I ended up living by myself for like 5 or 6 years. So, and it was like the best 5 or 6 years of my life.
Statements of that.
But yes, people do have preventative measures as far as like, this is motivation for me to learn this, or this is motivation. I have a specific fear and I need to get over that. Like I need to get past this. And that's a good motivation as far as fear.
Yep.
So.
And then low key, like people who have societal level fears, so like preppers, I have a family member does a little low key, not crazy prepping, but a little bit like has extra food stores. That's not a bad idea, by the way, guys. Bad weather happens in New England. You might get stuck in the home for 3 days. Like how could you just go to the grocery store all the time? What do you have available? It's not a horrible idea. Extra backup batteries, fuel, generators. These are just good life preparatory things. So.
Yep. So that's it for me anyways.
Yep, we're trying to keep it under a half hour, which we're right there.
We're like,
So again, this was a talk, not a lesson per se, although it was things that we've experienced. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share, and give us feedback. Thanks guys.